Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday Nights with Friends, rainy nights. Um, so tonight's topic is it does not mean what you think it means. It's topics that everybody's using and they're not quite sure what the topics mean, and it just to guys that actually ride motorcycles, it's kind of crazy. So, welcome to the channel. Tonight we have Dry Heat Doug. I'm not even sure where you are right now. You're somewhere. Have you made it home yet? You still out on the road? Yes. All right. All right. So tonight, Doug, can you hear me? Am I coming through? We're getting there.
There we go.
All right.
That sounds much better.
Hey, how you
Had
doing?
an echo going.
All right. So tonight we're talking about those terms that drive motorcyclists crazy. They're used by people who probably shouldn't be using those terms. So I picked a few of my favorites. If you guys have some, you can throw them down in the comments, throw them down in the live chat. First thing, and this has been driving me nuts for years, is watching people, and this was a hyper term for a while, counter steer. And it drives me nuts when people try to go, yeah, you're going to turn left when you want to turn right, and you want to turn right when you want to turn, or left when you want to turn right, and right when you want to turn left. And that's not actually what it is. Back when I was doing my first basic rider courses and the sport bike rider courses, they would tell you press and lean. How that turned into turn the wheel the other way, I have no idea. The whole concept of counter steer isn't counter steering, it's actually pushing in the direction you want to go, which slightly moves the wheel onto its side. It's you're not really turning the wheel so much as you are just pushing the bike onto the side of the rim to make it go in that corner. This is kind of based on if you take a solo cup, flip it on its side and roll it, because the middle is bigger than the side. When it's on its side, it'll actually roll to one side. And that's what counter steering actually is. It's not turning in the opposite direction that you want to go. And I hear a lot of people use that, and I've seen it a lot when like these videos that actually YouTube doesn't like you to do these videos anymore, but they would show these crash videos, and these people would evaluate wrecks. And when they would do this, they would go, oh, well, you can tell that they didn't use counter steer. Oh, well, you could tell they were using their back brake too much, or oh, you could do this, and totally all wrong on all counts. Anybody who's ever rode for a really long time and been on the road and done a lot of riding, you know this stuff is just not absolutely true, not at all. So you guys got some terms, you can go ahead and throw them in the comments. Um, we got a couple of people who will be here later. Obviously, Just a Biker Girl will be in later because she's on the California coast. She's got to get off work and get home first. Doug showed up tonight, and I think we're going to have Goon in a little later when he gets off work. So, Doug, you got any favorites, terms people use that just drive you nuts?
No.
No?
you know, People are free to use what they want.
I'm gonna say they could use what they want, but Jesus Christ, my other favorite one is, and people stopped using this when they started burning up their transmissions and burning up their clutches. People using the term rev matching.
Okay, yeah, there's one.
Rev matching is not what you think it is. Rev matching is just basically your bike will automatically rev match as soon as you let that clutch out, and that's what it does. Uh, Doug, you've worked with generators before and had to parallel generators. The purpose of this,
Yeah,
so what you do is you take an
yeah,
online generator, you rev it up to, let's say, 8,000 RPMs. You'll take the one that's coming on and bring it behind it, and you'll like slowly match it above a little bit. So what you're doing is you're over revving the one that's coming online to where when you parallel them, instead of
and you're bringing the
dragging the
hertz,
one that's online down, you bring the other one up. Yeah, you
right?
bring
And
your
you're
hertz
bringing
up.
those hertz up to match.
Yeah. But the one that's coming on is going just a little bit faster than the one that's actually online right now. Because what you don't want to do, think of this as like downshifting. When you're downshifting, your engine is actually going faster than your tire, and as soon as you engage it, it slows it back down. You're actually you're downloading the engine. When you're upshifting, you want the bike to be going a little faster than your tire is actually going, where you actually start going faster instead of going slower as soon as you let the clutch out. So, but rev matching your bike's already doing that. And when you bring it on, you let the bike do what it wants to do. There's no way you're going to know how fast that back tire is going compared to your engine. So all you're really doing is bringing your engine up a little bit faster than your bike is going, or bringing it in a little slower than the bike is going if you're trying to downshift. And there's no real science to that. It's guesswork. And I hate to say it like that, but you learn what your bike does. That's why when you get on a new bike, you can't perfectly match it the first time. It's all guesswork. But you get really good at guessing because it's your bike. So I guess we'll leave that at that. Serenity Kitty, you got anything out there for us? You got to throw us something. I'm going to start singing if you guys don't join in real quick. All right. Another one that I don't like to guess here is chicken strips. Chicken strips doesn't really mean anything except you're leaning the bike off of the part of the tire that's supposed to be on the curb or on the road. And I hate when people use that. Not that it's not a real thing, but I hate that when people use chicken strips as a way to determine whether you're riding the bike right or not. Especially when you're on a 900-pound cruiser or a 900-pound touring bike, you're not going to have chicken strips. If you do, if you're burning into your chicken strips on a 1,000-pound motorcycle, you're doing something very wrong. That's not safe. I've seen people try to do it, but that's also the people you see slide off the road. So, not a good thing. Is it fun sometimes when you're by yourself? Maybe, but
you pretty much start scraping floorboards right about then.
Yeah, I've actually, especially on this big tour, I'll wear out the entire front tire and barely wear the back tire out at all, because that's how those bikes steer. I mean, I got a picture of my front tire before I changed it last time. And because it's a dual composite tire, it wears hard on the edges and hardly anything in the middle. And people are like, oh, well, you're riding it wrong. Yeah, you're underinflated, you're overinflated, you're oversteering, you're understeering. Listen, there's no such thing as over and understeering on a motorcycle. That's called wrecking. That's called low siding and high siding if you understeer a motorcycle or oversteer it. So, all right, Doug, you think of anything yet?
I don't know. I think I keep thinking of this tooth. The reason I had to come home so quickly is I had a wisdom tooth get sore and had emergency surgery on it yesterday.
Nice. So how'd that go?
Pulled it, and it hurts like hell, but I've got some good oxy. So there we go.
Sweet. We got to have a good conversation tonight.
Oh, yeah. It's every once in a while I open my mouth up a little too much, and it just hurts like hell. But it was a good trip. We only lost one hard bag for about an hour.
How did you? Okay, story time.
Harley Davidson and its wonderful ways.
Oh, so you weren't on one of the new good bikes. You were on one of the Harleys.
Yeah, it was on that electric glide. Right side hard bag came off just before we got into New Mexico on the 40. And there's a good story that goes along with that. She remembered remembered hearing a noise, but not seeing it come off. And we doubled back about 40 miles. And then right about the time, long story short, right about the time she said, and right here's where I heard it. I looked to my right, and there it is off in the grass. So she got on, I put it on her lap, and off we went to the next rest stop to put it on, to attach it. We weren't going to do it on the shoulder of the 40.
So I hear about people losing bags on the Harleys all the time. I've never heard anybody losing a bag on anything else. How the hell does that happen?
It's those stupid little quick disconnect connectors on the inside. There's two of them. They clip onto a wire, and that's it. Usually they're pretty good, but I guess after 55,000 miles, they tend to start coming apart.
No.
So,
okay, I guess that's a good excuse.
But yeah, the bag came off, so it's got some scarring. It has a story to tell. A few other little scratches here and there. It was a fast run. We ended up going to Gallup, spend the night there, and then we just took off in the morning at about 7:30. And I said, well, it was her first cross country trip, so I said, well, wherever you want to stop, let me know. And she just didn't let me know. So we rode the rest of the way to Nashville, Gallatin, and it was a good run. Of course, we took our little cat naps here and there, but yeah, it was a good run there. The wedding was great. Um, the day before the wedding, this tooth started hurting, so I texted in a prescription. Ended up getting some antibiotics and just enough to tide me over. And then day after the wedding, I looked at her and I said, "I think we're going to have to go, otherwise we're going to get stuck here, and I'm going to be in a hotel bed for a couple of days with the pain on this tooth." And she said, "Well, let's go." So we rode from Nashville to Phoenix. Just did a straight run.
I was wondering when I was going to hear from you because you had said, "Yeah, we have like a few days to spare. We got some few days up, extra on the road," and then you never called. So I was like, "Okay, well they must be hanging out."
Yep, that wisdom tooth was enough to get me into a panic and get her into a panic as well. And I was fully expecting her to say, "No, we're gonna stop. We're gonna do this. We're gonna spend the night." And she was like, "No, run it. Just run it."
It's
And
easier
I
for
was
the
like, "All right,
passenger.
yeah." So she's got a hard tail on her. I can tell you that. She's good for it.
Yeah, my wife does that. As long as I'm driving, she's good for anything we want to put down. Rain, storm, tornadoes, nighttime. She's like, "Yeah, you're good. You're good to ride. I'm gonna sit back here and take a nap." She actually has fell asleep on the back of that BMW a couple times.
She did the same thing. Yeah, she did the same thing. She was nodding off. I'd reach back and tap her on the leg, but we only hit rain a couple of times. It wasn't that bad. So that was really it. A lot of wind in New Mexico.
That is an
So
absolute sign of faith and trust if they could fall asleep on the back of the bike when you're riding.
yeah, it was pretty fantastic. But I kept her awake. But
Millie,
yeah,
welcome in.
one of the best investments that I think I got on that was this $100 box from how much was that? 100, 150, something like that. It was a box off of Amazon, a great big black box that fits onto the top of the trunk. It's got a lock and plate on there. I'll have to show it to you one day. And that pretty much caught all of our overflow stuff. So, and it worked out really, really well.
I've been looking at the rack that goes on top of the BMW trunk, and I don't know how much I want to trust it for one. I mean, that trunk is pretty hard. It's pretty solid, but flipping it up, I don't know if I'd put too much crap on the top, flip it up, and then the top would just keep going. And so
Yeah. This one, what I didn't like is it fits on top of that lid that flips up on the trunk. But and I think maybe it needs a reinforced clip on there, not just the standard lock that's on there. But it held up pretty good. So I was kind of surprised. I thought it would just blow the whole thing off halfway. So it was more of an experiment. Let's just see what happens.
another trust thing. Millie says a Christian biker welcome in. Millie says she's taking a bath. It's a 5-degree bath. That's awful cold. That's even as she says it's 5 degrees Celsius. That's still cold. That's a pretty cold bath. What the heck, girl?
What's a Celsius? Isn't that some kind of science term?
The C stands for communism.
Yeah, right.
Was it? What's that in freedom degrees?
Yeah.
Give me that in freedom units. So, let me see. 5 degrees Celsius. What is that? 40. 40? Yeah. Yeah. 40 degrees.
It's still
No
cold.
thanks.
No, no, no.
Oh, she said the bath is nice because it's 5 degrees Celsius outside. Oh, that's right. When it's summer up here, it's
Right
winter
when it's
down there.
Yep, it's
I
winter
keep
there.
forgetting that whole other side of the world, toilet spins the other way thing. Chasing Ghosts, welcome in. Cool. Yes, I bet.
Tara.
Welcome in, girl. So, what a nice day. So, if you got any terms for us yet? You guys in the comments, if you can, if you remember, you got any terms that Millie, you can throw in some surfing terms if you want to. Terms that people use that are new to the sport that it absolutely drives you crazy. So, Key Fob, welcome in. So that even makes it. So I know Millie has been doing a lot of surfing lately, and now that I've realized that it's winter down there, I'm like, what the hell? That girl's hardcore.
Yeah, she's out there and it's out there to chill.
Yeah, Jim Reynolds, welcome in. So yeah, you guys got some terms, throw them in there. The next one, and I've made fun of this a lot, is clippings. All these people making fun or just freaking out because there's grass clippings in the road, or oh my god, I can't believe they're blowing their clippings in the road. And it's funny to me. I've drove through a lot of grass. I've drove through a lot of stuff in the road. Things like sand, gravel, and leaves scare me a whole lot more than clippings. Because clippings are a little light, they blow away. Wet leaves, gravel, sand, those things are detrimental. And I know Doug out in Arizona, when there's sand in the road, sand is unforgiving. Sand goes every which way. At least clippings kind of clamp down and sit down for you. They don't fly all over the place. But and then you've got cactus needles and all kinds of crazy crap out there, so it's even worse.
Yeah. Cactus needles, lots of sand that blows out on the highway.
Even in Kuwait, driving through sandbanks, and you can go from flat asphalt to all of a sudden you're in like a foot of sand, and you're everywhere but on the road as soon as you hit that sand. So yeah, there are things much scarier than clippings.
Kuwait was like that powdery sand, though.
Yeah.
When you get wet, you'd have to knock it off with a hammer. This stuff it's just really grainy compared.
Yeah. That's why I started shaving my head, was because the sand in Kuwait, because it's kind of like clay based, and when it got on you when you're sweating, it made like cornflakes on your skin, and if it got in your hair, it was down to the scalp, and you were not getting that crap out. Once it hardened, it was cement. So, if you guys ever wonder why, if you've seen old pictures of me, I had gorgeous blonde hair back in the day. And I don't anymore, because now that I shaved it for all of my deployment years from 2006 until I graduated in 2017. I said graduated, it was a 20-year degree. And when I got out, I tried to grow my hair back. Couldn't grow it back. It just didn't feel right anymore. So, if you guys ever wonder why I shaved my head, that's why.
Well, that'd be why I wash my boots off every time I come to the house. I just don't want to have to hammer them off.
Keep up says, I don't like how you're giving the clippings guys a pass. The clumps are horrible. At least with clippings, so fresh clippings, I would agree, probably are more dangerous than dry ones, but they're bright green. How can you miss it? It's not like asphalt, sand, you don't see it till you get up on it. Loose gravel, you don't see it till you're right up on top of it. Clippings you at least can see from a very good, long way away. So it's some warning to slow down and go, hey, look, they're kind of like, a freshly killed possum when it's bright red in the middle of the asphalt. It gives you something to look at, that you've got a warning before it gets to you. Which also, by the way, hitting a possum or a raccoon in the middle of the road is much more dangerous than hitting clippings, and you cannot disagree with that one.
Yeah, we were talking to a guy about that. Where the heck were we? We were talking to that guy that had hit just about everything, including a deer. Is that Arkansas?
Arkansas, I believe it, because everything is in the road.
They pretty much had a whole plethora of animals to hit.
Oh, I hit a frog in Arkansas, and I was convinced somebody had shot me, because that frog probably weighed about 2 pounds, and when I hit it hit me in the leg, and I thought somebody had shot me, because I reached down, and I got it in the headlights, and it was blood all over my leg. And I was, shit, somebody shot me. Oh. And then when I reached down again, I felt something hard and stringy, and I picked it up, and it was a leg. It was a frog leg. I hit that frog going about 80 miles an hour, jumped up in the road, and hit me in the leg. And I nearly fell off the bike. Again, something small like that, whether it be a bee, a walnut, anything you hit going 80 miles an hour, is pretty detrimental. A cicada. Good God.
I don't remember where it was, but we had done a stop. We were at Bob's truck stops, I think. She looks at my helmet and she says, "He got blood." I was like, what? Apparently it wasn't one of those rice bugs or whatever. It was a bat that I hit. Hit him right on the top of the helmet.
Oh, man.
Hilarious.
Flying mouse. Poor baby.
Yeah.
Quick Shoe, welcome in. What else have I hit? Oh, a turtle. Turtle, There's a good reason why in the Mario Kart games they throw turtles out to fuck people up. It's absolutely true. You hit a turtle on a motorcycle, you're kind of done. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's like hitting a skate on ice. It's done.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Ghost says
Only the turtles.
turtles suck. Turtles suck. When I used to work at the steel mill, there was a turtle crossing probably about a mile from the steel mill,
I
and
don't know if you can see it.
yeah,
Yeah, they wanted me to put a wildlife crossing sign out on one of the roads.
turtles
So I
are
had that one
dangerous.
made.
Turtles are dangerous, man. That's no joke. I mean, that's a cute little turtle you got on
Put
that
the ones
sign.
up that matter.
Yeah.
There's the smile.
Hey guys,
What's up,
how's
lady?
it going?
It's going perfect. How are you?
I'm so happy it's a Friday.
It definitely is. You got in a little early tonight. Did you tell him to take this job and shove it? Close to it.
It was internal, and no, it was all good. I smelled like a demon. My husband's got car sickness right now. He's laying on the couch eating crackers and drinking a Sprite.
Sweet. Okay. I won't.
Yeah.
I won't dig. I won't dig.
How's everybody doing?
We are doing great. We are talking about things that terms people use that drive you crazy because they don't know what they're talking about. Chasing
turtles and things that make us crash.
and things that make us crash. Yeah, Chasing Ghost says she's hit possums, raccoons, armadillos, and rabbits. Ride a lot at night. Have came close with deer, big grasshoppers to the shin. Hurt too. Diana Pillion can tell you big grasshoppers or whatever the hell that thing was to the face don't hurt, but they will make you gag a lot.
Ew.
Journey of Jerry, welcome to the show, buddy.
Jerry.
Yeah, I've actually, so out of all those things and the things we've talked about, the only thing I haven't hit is an armadillo, and I don't wish to because it's probably
Yeah,
it's probably halfway between a turtle and an opossum.
used to
Just
be
say
a
that's
lot
just
more
no
prevalent in
bueno.
Texas. I haven't seen one in a while.
So is it true that armadillos can jump, and so like
Yes.
they'll scare and they'll actually jump, and that they'll hit you like windshield level?
They will jump up in the air. They can jump about 3 feet high.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. I've seen it. They will jump straight up. My mom, we were hunting mayhaws one time, and we were out on this island in the Sabine, and one ran between her legs and she screamed. And when she screamed, it jumped straight up and hit her in the face.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she jumped up and down. We've made fun of her for a long time because she started jumping up and down. My mother did. And she started jumping up and down and I'm not kidding, stomped a mud hole in the mud. She started jumping up and down until the water formed in the hole she was stomping in. It was actually so funny. God bless her, rest her soul. But yeah, it was too funny.
Oh yeah, that would absolutely freak me out pretty.
She screamed a lot, and she made. I'm not sure what was screaming more because armadillos also scream, and I'm not sure which one was screaming higher pitched, my mother or their armadillo.
I did not know that.
That was yep. They're like rabbits. They scream, they squeal. So, but anyway,
Gotcha. Not like
You
goats
know,
though.
one of the overlooked things that make people crash here in Arizona, or pretty much any desert climate, are those crack seals. When they lay that tar down and crack seal, those
tar
little
snakes.
It's so slippery.
road snakes, they are slippery. So as we were coming down from Payson into the valley into Phoenix, we were hitting them around the curves, and I said, "You feel that?" She's, "Yeah." And I said, "That's those road snakes." And then once they get about 120, 130 degrees on the asphalt, they get really slippery. So we have people that lose it all the time on them.
I've
man.
noticed those are more plentiful up north than they are in the south. I think when the road starts to go, the entire road goes. It's not just cracks. So they, and most of the south, it's straight anyway. There's a lot of them on 55 between Memphis and like Grenada, Mississippi. But they're straight. So when you jump them, you ride straight across them. So it's kind of if you can imagine the difference in crossing a railroad track at a 45 and crossing a railroad track 90 degrees, that's the difference. If you hit them at an angle, they kind of guide you. They push you to one side. So yeah, I can see that. Jerry says he'll be on his phone for the week. So he must be traveling or on vacation or something cool like that. Congratulations, Jerry.
Yeah.
All right, biker girl. Let's tell me I'll tell you what we've talked about so far. You can comment on all of any of these or go yourself. Terms that I personally hate to hear. Someone who doesn't know what they're talking about counter steer, chicken strips, and rev matching, and the ever loving clibbins. And it always seems to be people that know me when they post these clibbins pictures on Facebook. I'm very polite, but I'll say, look, this is not a hazard. I've been riding for 45 years. Clibbins are not a hazard. If clibbins are a hazard to you, you need to stay off your bike. That's personal to me. I'm just gonna say it's personal to me, but I'm just saying. STFU. If you're gonna talk to me about clibbins, I'm gonna find somewhere else to be. So, all right.
That's awesome.
So, biker girl, what kind of terms?
I say this, but I am checking myself. So I was listening to a podcast last year. I think it was Get Vertical with Drea, who does the stunts, and she was chatting with Ryan Cruzy, and he said anyone who uses the term performance bagger but does not write it as a performance bagger doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. That's not a performance. And so I had to check myself because, I always said, oh, I've got performance bagger, it's got that V8, rah, 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 Tim the Tool Man, total attitude. And I was like, he's right, if you're not doing cool shit on it, is it really a performance bagger? And does it matter, So now I hear it and I'm very aware of it. And so when people say it, I was like, yeah, is it really though? Is it?
Well,
Yeah.
It might be a performance bagger, but it's not being written as a performance bagger.
But
I'm not.
But are you a performance bag lady? Is that so? No,
There's a new term.
I like to. How do I get rid of this? I like to bust on people when they tell me that they have a stage anything, and they're like, "Yeah, I got a stage 2 kit on it." I'm like, "A stage 2 what?" Like a stage 2.
Stage just add-ons.
Stage 2 what? What do you have? And they don't know. They're like, well, when I bought it, they said it was a stage 2, and it's like, a stage 2 what? And they have no clue.
Stage 2, so they have a fuel mod and an exhaust.
Well, they have no clue what they've got. I'm gonna next.
It took me a while too. When they're like, oh, well, we can, do a stage. You could do a stage 4, and it's like, well, what's 1 and 2? And they're like, well, 1, basically it comes this way. 2 is this. 3 you already had. We'll do a 4. And they asked me, so they kind of explained it out, and I can't say I understand it all, but I like it. So
So when I sell this,
that.
Yeah, when I sell the Sportster, because I've done so much stuff to it, I'm gonna tell whoever buys it that it's a stage 4.
Tell them it's a stage 5.
It's a stage 9.
Let's really go. This is a stage 5.
I'm gonna tell them it does. It's a stage 6 because it does a sub 6 quarter mile. It's a stage 6. And I'm striving for a stage 5, but I can't get my oxygen right. So, you think they buy it?
Realistically, any bike that puts out 100 horsepower is perfect. It really is. So.
It's funny when I see these guys, and this kills me. And I will see an actual legitimate video on YouTube where they'll take a bike and they'll put $30,000-$40,000 into it, and they're only hitting like 90 horsepower. And I'm like, I bought my bike off the showroom floor, stock BMW, 168 horsepower, with nothing done to it. And these guys, so by the time you buy this $40,000 bike, you put another $40,000 into it. And one I like to bust on is Blockhead's bike. He's done all that crap to it, and it doesn't even break 100 horsepower. And I'm like, and everybody's like, oh, Godzilla, that's the ultimate bike. That's what I want. And I'm like, why do you want it? Dude, it's got 102 horsepower. And it's like, I can hit 102 horsepower and never shift out of third gear. I mean, it's what? Come on. I don't know, man. I'm love Harleys, but I'm hard on them because it's also like, what are you really doing with it? But then you've got this Sportster. I don't think that Sportster cracks 40 horsepower, but it jumps right out of my hands. Not because it has 40 horsepower, but because it only weighs like 400 pounds. So you've got to find that perfect match between here's what I want, here's what I've got, and here's what it does. And I think it's more important to say here's what it actually does than here's what I've got. Because like you're saying, so what if you have a performance bagger? What will it do? What does performance bagger mean? What's it mean to you?
Exactly. And it made me think, and I believe I was in Hot Springs and it was starting to rain and they were calling for like golf ball size hail. And I was like eyeballing my unfinished driveway, which had about a 6-inch curb between the road and the driveway. And I was like, I can make that. I'm going to ride just like it's a performance bagger. I can make that. I couldn't. My neighbors had to come over and help me stand it back up.
Well, I've seen people ride 20 horsepower trail bikes, like they were 100 horsepower. So it literally just depends what you can do, what your training level is, how experienced you are. So, and pile on top of that, as the old biker community says, it's funner to ride a slow bike fast than it is to ride a fast bike slow.
Oh, absolutely.
But what's funny though, I will protect people on Facebook, on Marketplace, and on eBay when they'll put a bike on there and they're asking $30,000 for it, and they'll ask the money for it. And I'll laugh in my head, but I won't say anything because there's always some jackass that jumps on there and goes, "Well, I could buy a bike just like that for $12,000," and then I'm like, "Okay, go buy it."
So go buy it. Right.
Go buy it. To this guy, and usually it's the $5,000 or $6,000 R6s and R7s that I'm defending, because some guy puts his bike on there and says, "All right, I'm selling my R6. I'd like $4,000 for it." And somebody's like, "Well, I can go buy a brand new one, for $3,000." And I'm like, "Okay, go buy it." Well, they're on Facebook all day for $3,000. We'll go buy it. To this guy loves this motorcycle. To him, it's worth $4,000. So if you don't want to buy it, go somewhere else. I will always remember 2 episodes. One, I had bought, right after I wrecked my R100, I went and bought this little GL650. And I fixed it up, painted it, basically just started working on it, just replacing belts, replacing plastic, replacing everything I could find on it, painted it, made it beautiful. Went to sell it for $1,500. And this guy, which is what I bought it for, but when I was ready to sell it, I was like, I'll just sell it for what I bought it for. And this guy's like, "Well, it's not worth that. I'll give you $900 for it." I'm like, "No, it's $1,500. And he's like, "Well, you'll never sell it for that." Okay, fine. Then this other girl comes, and she wants to buy it. It's funny enough. So the GL650, if you don't know, there wasn't many of them in the States. She wanted to get into riding motorcycles. Her husband told her, "Well, if you can find a GL650, I'll buy it for you." And so she calls me and she's like, "Do you still have the bike?" And I said, "Yeah, I still have it. Has anybody asked about it yet?" And I said, "I've had some offers, but nothing that I want, to take." She comes over. She's all excited. She takes a ride on it. She loves the bike. Her husband the whole time is like, the forks have weep. You can see the forks have some oil on them. Okay, fine. It probably needs new seals. Well, she doesn't like the color. We're going to have to find one that's the color that she wants. Well, what color does she want? She goes, "Well, she said she wanted one that was cheetah print." I'm not shitting you. He said she wants to find one that's cheetah print. And I'm like, "You can get it painted. I'll paint it for you. I'm a pretty good painter." He's like, "Yeah, this isn't the bike we want." She's like, "Well, you said if I found it, I could buy it." He's like, "Yeah, but there's a lot of things wrong with this bike." I was like, "There's nothing wrong with this bike. I ride it to work every day. My wife gets on this bike and rides it with me, a little 650. He's like, "Well, I don't know. We got to think about it." So he calls me back like a week later and says, "Well, I'll give you $1,000 for it." I'm like, "No." He goes, "Well, nobody's going to pay $1,500 for it." And I said, "Okay, fine. That's fine. Somebody will buy it when they buy it. Somebody will buy this bike." She calls me back and apologizes to me. He says, "I'm so sorry. I'm just realizing the only reason he told me that I could have this bike is he didn't think I could find one that ran." And I said, "Well, there's one right here." So fast forward another week. This guy calls me panicking on a Saturday night. "Do you still have the bike?" I said, "Yeah." Is anybody looking at it? I was like, no. Okay, I want it. I'm like, all right. I said, I got to keep the battery on tender. The battery's a little weak. I'll be over in the morning. I'll be on the morning. Don't sell it. Don't sell it. This guy calls me at 6 o'clock in the morning. Do you still have the bike? I'm like, yeah, I still have it. He's like, I'll be right there. This dude comes up, and I'm thinking, all right, let me go put the battery on charge, because it had been sporadically not starting because the battery's getting weak. The dude pulls up, gets out, gives me $1,500 and gets on the bike. And I said, well, do you want to take a ride around the neighborhood? Nope, I'll take it. Dude gets his helmet on and takes off. His son drove him there. His son's just staring. And I'm sitting here with a handful of cash. And he's like, well, can you sign the title over to me? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he had one when he was in college. When my mom got pregnant, he had to sell it. And it's the only bike he's ever wanted to get back. And again, there was probably 1,200 of them in the States. So the story behind this bike was, if you don't know what the GL650 was, it had horizontally opposed V-twin. So it looked like a Moto Guzzi. It was a Honda. And when it got to the States, Moto Guzzi sued them for the engine rights. So by that time, they'd only brought in, I think, like 2,500 of the GL500s and 1,200 of the GL650s. So they had to stop sending them to the States because Moto Guzzi was suing them. Well, instead of going through a long, lengthy lawsuit, they just said, screw it. We don't really like this platform anyway. We'll let it go. The funny thing is, everything on that bike fit a CB650, a CB500, a CB450 perfectly. Literally, they just took the CBs, split the cases, turned them, and made it a V-twin. But an opposed V-twin, like a Moto Guzzi. So, but there weren't many of them in the States. So this dude had been looking for one for years. I'm talking like not like 2 or 3 years, like 10, 15 years. I had one in perfect condition because I bought it. It was a few things wrong with it. I bought it, fixed it up. To this guy, and this is my point, to that dude would have paid me $2,000 for that bike. And I asked his son, I said, well, what would he have done if it didn't start when he went to get on it? He goes, well, he'd have thrown it in the back of my truck. He goes, we were taking this bike. He told me that on the way here. If the bike doesn't run, we're taking it anyway. So, point of the story is, a bike is worth what it's worth to the person who wants to pay money for it.
That's the truth right there.
Merry Christmas. But yeah, he was very happy with that bike. And here I am ignoring all of my people in the comments here. Let's see what the people in the comments are saying. 2020 Street Glide is pretty fast enough. It couldn't handle 160. Yeah, it's transmissions on Harleys are a little finicky, and maybe that's why they try to keep them under 80 horsepower. Any bike, I think, if you immediately have to, and I always think about these guys that supercharge their Humvees. Humvee is a high torque, low speed vehicle, not meant to go fast, not meant to accelerate fast. They're meant to get at a speed and hold it consistently for about 8 hours. And I see these guys put like V10s in a Humvee, and I'll never forget this. It was on one of these hot rod shows on the Speed Channel. They put this V10 in it, get it on the drag race, and immediately hear this clunk, and it split the shaft. It shattered the drive shaft. And if you've never seen this, the actual drive shaft in a transaxle is 3/4 inches. It's like this little steel rod about this long. It's like 4 foot on one side, 5 foot on the other side, and that's all that really puts power to the wheels is these little bitty shafts inside the giant hub that you actually see. And the guy's like, "Oh man, I thought these things were could handle torque better than this." I'm like, "Really, dude?" It's got like a 6-cylinder diesel engine in it. That's 0 to 60 in like Monday to Thursday.
Yeah, 0 to 60 maybe sometime by the end of the week.
Yeah. So, but I'll never forget that show though. But anyway, I digress. We're getting off topic. Go figure, as always. All right, so let's see. Let's look back at the comments. Did I miss anything? Yeah, Biker Girl jumped in. She's our only moderator, and she's ignoring everybody. So let's see.
I'm sorry. I'm the only moderator. What? Wait a second. I see a couple other blues in there.
Oh, Diana Pillion style gets a pass. So, who is from this area will get this quick rain curve. Yeah, so Chasing Ghosts is from Texas. Quick rain curve, fog, slick as hell. Oh, speaking of which, Tuesday when I was riding to work, took the Harley, and it was so humid Tuesday morning, I kept spinning the tire every time I tried to upshift, downshift, turn, and stop. Every time. It was like the entire road was glass. And granted, it was 75 degrees in the morning, and it's like I'm riding on glass, like I'm riding on ice. It's ridiculous. Humidity is a real thing in the South, and I wish somebody else had it.
Tennessee has it. Plenty of it.
Well, I'm not far from Tennessee, so.
It was extremely humid there. They were like, oh, 90% humidity. And I looked at her and said, when are we leaving?
Well, I am probably 10 miles directly south of I-40. So if you were on 40, I'm directly 10 minutes south of that. So, yes, I know all about it.
We'll
All
stop by next time when I don't have a sore tooth.
Not fun.
I'm doing all the things I shouldn't be doing either.
Yeah, they say don't smoke a cigarette. Bleak Rides,
no
welcome
smoking,
in, buddy.
Don't drink it from a straw.
So Bleak just got in. I'm assuming he'll
channel.
jump in shortly.
Biker Girl, you missed it. The reason we got back so quickly from Nashville was I had to have the wisdom teeth removed on this side.
No.
So yesterday, emergency surgery. Yeah,
Man,
it was bad.
I am
I
sorry.
got oxy so I can talk. Nothing like mixing it with a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
How did you put it off for so long?
Yeah.
I think the Mike's Hard Lemonade is probably good for it. Helps pucker up the
Yeah.
blood vessels and hold. Does that sound good?
I
Okay.
think the whole rule is no drinking, no smoking. But you
Actually,
know what?
it's.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I don't think say
right?
no drinking. They say no smoking, no nicotine, no dip.
Yeah, I make sure to do that.
So when I was still on the ship, they would tell you they do blood drives on Friday, and if you gave blood, you got off after lunch. You take half the day. So everybody would go out at lunch, give blood, and then you're off for the rest of the day. And they would tell you no dipping, no smoking for 30 minutes after you give blood. And I remember these guys coming out of the blood mobile, lighting up a cigarette, throwing in a dip, and going face first to the concrete. Absolutely awesome. Love to watch it. I think that was easier than you get the half the day off, but you're still standing there watching people give blood, just you can watch them fall on their face because you know those dumb assholes, especially the deck division guys, are gonna light up as soon as they come out of the freaking blood mobile. Anyway, I digress again. All right, Biker Girl, do you have
just
any
being
terms?
very gentle with this so it doesn't pull that clot out.
Yes, suck slowly, make it worthwhile.
Easy, boy.
I'm
Easy.
just being gentle.
I'm talking about cigarettes here. God,
Not like I was on that engine on the way back. We moved. We were moving on the way back.
God, that sucks. I'm sorry that screwed up your vacation.
Yeah, it was good and bad. You know, it was up to her how far we went, and we literally rode from Nashville to Phoenix,
Wow.
straight through.
Wow.
So yeah, it was an interesting trip.
I have done
I'm
that ride,
looking
and that is
forward to
going
the
a long
next one
way.
where we can stop.
Yeah.
So
Good grief.
lots of stops I'm going to do.
I do have one more term. This goes right in hand with the Clibbins. Is when I hear somebody say, "Yeah, I had to lay her down."
Ah,
It's like you never should you lay her down. You should never lay her down.
How did you have to, you know?
Had to lay her down. God bless. God
Did
bless.
you hindsight it and have to lay it down?
It's almost like I want to say it's like when you see these memes about these BJJ guys when they get in a fight they just throw themselves on their backs.
yeah.
And it's like, now what do I do? Now, and I remember this all the way back to Arnold Schwarzenegger had a wreck in the late 80s. And a car pulled in front of him. And I remember him talking on the news, like, yeah, I had to lay the bike down and slide it in. You know, it was the safest thing to do. And it's like, I used to respect you. You fucking idiot. What the hell?
I'm gonna make you lose all respect for me in a minute.
No, you didn't.
Yep.
Tell me you didn't.
I did.
Okay,
I
tell
had-
us
that
the
was
did you
the- that
tell
was
us the
the
outcome?
That was the second thing that I had to do. Second wreck that I had was I actually had to lay it on its side.
I had to lay her down. God bless.
It was because I did something stupid. When I started off from the house, had my ex-wife on the back. We came up through the wet grass onto the gravel driveway, which was about a half mile long. And my intelligent self was going too fast and went to turn on the gravel, and it didn't turn. And it was either hit the guide wire or throw her on top of me. So that was the choice I had. It was dumb. It was the dumbest thing. And it was one of those, I knew that was going to happen. So I learned. At least it was a low speed thing.
Right?
Yeah, it was a low speed thing, and I learned that if I think something's going to happen, don't do it.
And the crazy thing, and I've heard a guy explain this. Well, if you were going to drive under a truck and the options were drive under the truck and get decapitated and lay it down and slide under it, what would you do? And I'm like, I'd stop before I got to the truck. I mean,
Yeah, stop.
I'm just, this is in my head here. Now, granted, I'm not going to say there's never a reason you shouldn't lay it down, because I've actually had dreams of wrecking a bike and running off of the side of a cliff or something, and I've thrown the bike away from me. So in my dream, it made perfect sense. In reality, if you have to lay a bike down to keep yourself from getting decapitated, you're probably already doing something you shouldn't. So take your decapitation like a man.
Please, Lord, make it quick.
And learn from it next time.
Please.
Yeah.
Get some stitches.
Yeah.
Okay.
That only looks.
off.
Yeah, that only
Walk it
looks
off.
good on. What was the movie, The Matrix, where the two
Yeah,
albino dudes laid the bikes down and slid them under a truck, and then there was what was the other one with Jason Statham and Rock in it? I can't remember which the movie where they were both CIA agents and they had to go to Russia, and the dude was like a superhuman dude with cybernetic parts, and he laid the bike down and slid it under two 18-wheelers and then popped the bike back up and rode again. That shit only works in the movies. It's not going to work in real life. Sorry to break your feelings and shit, but I mean that's just life. Sorry to say. Quick shoes. Sorry, just let you go.
Speaking of butthurt, I was really trying to get.
You don't want to hear this story? La 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 la. No, go ahead.
I was trying to get Crazy Biker Bitch to jump on with us tonight for a little bit. Apparently she went, I don't know where she was at. Oh, Evil Rides is the dealership up in Portland, Oregon. And some punk who is younger than she has been riding talked over her about how much they know about Sportsters. And so she was just, all rank about it, and I was like, "Oh, it's a good night for you to jump on."
Yes,
come on,
that'd be
air it
perfect.
all out.
I
Let's
love to
go.
hear
So
people
I sent her a link. I was really hoping. She said she was gonna get shit faced and cunty tonight. I was like, "Come on in."
Come on,
Come
yes,
in.
yes. Ain't nothing. Speaking of ass, yeah,
Like,
that's,
just a couple
jump on.
minutes, jump on for a few minutes. It'll be fine. If you need to leave, you need to leave. But
Text
I
her,
thought
text her,
it'd be
get her
fun.
on.
I'm trying.
Text her,
really
get her
hard.
on. That'd be funny.
I'm gonna text her one more time.
Ain't nothing funnier than a
See how it goes.
drunk biker that's pissed off at somebody else.
Right?
We're 5 minutes in. We can say whatever we want to. Just saying.
It's past the censorship.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, Chasing Go says, lay it down means, oh shit, I grabbed a fistful of brake, but there are times you have no options and they're going to hit no matter what. So you're going to break futility out of instinct. I learned, luckily so, on dirt bikes. And if you get in trouble on a dirt bike, first thing you do is hit that back brake. And hitting the back brake will actually straighten the bike up and give you more control. So luckily, that's what I learned early on. And if I have oh shit moments now, I hit the back brake and I'll actually guide in. I remember when I had my head on, when I T-boned the dude, I hit the back brake, hit the horn, hit the front brake, and started downshifting all in like a quarter of a second. And I slid into the dude, and it was slowing down, and luckily it slowed me down enough that when I hit the dude, I flew over the truck and like flew 30 feet instead of like 100 feet. If I'd have laid that bike down, that dude would have ran right over me and killed me. Because once you're under the truck, you're fucked. You are absolutely screwed. And there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah. Yeah, that's Chasing Ghost said the same thing. I think at some point you figure out, even in that instance, it's better to slow down and hit slower than to lay it down. Yeah. It was raining. I was in leather and jeans, and if I would have hit that wet asphalt, I'd have slid forever, probably all the way to Tennessee, because it was stupid wet that day, and every car on the way would have ran me over. You know, it's like when they say in a stampede, the best thing to do in a stampede is try to jump up and grab whatever's stampeding it and hang on to its neck, because if you go down, you're just going to get trampled. Same thing like when people trample. Same thing. When there's a stampede of people, if you go down, you're screwed.
Down.
You're going to get hurt because there's no way to get you back up until the stampede is over. So
That was something that she asked on the road on the way out. She said, "What happens if we get into a wreck on the freeway?" And I said, "Get off the freeway.
yeah, it's roll,
Just
roll, yeah,
run, do whatever you got to do to get to the closest side of the road you can, because you're gonna get run over."
I've rehearsed this in my mind. Roll to the side of the road. I will never forget.
You got about 30 seconds worth of adrenaline to get your ass off the road. That's about it.
This is a video I know you two have seen, but there's a couple riding a bike and he low sides and they start sliding. He reaches up and I swear to God that they did it in full speed. He grabs her, holds on to her, and they slide, no shit, for like 300 feet.
Ouch.
And
in the rain, I saw that.
In the rain, yeah. So he grabs her, pulls her to him, and hangs on to her, and they slide, and it goes on forever. I swear to God, 20 seconds it seems like. But they just kept going and going and going and going and going, and they finally slid, and he like yanks her over to the side. But that bike has rubber tires that are meant to grab onto asphalt even in rain, and it will eventually slow you down. You hit that asphalt, you have nothing to slow you down but your flesh, and it's gonna hurt a lot.
Kevlar gear.
If you have your Kevlar, and what's the fancy word for the Kevlar blends, the 50 poly half and half?
I have to go read.
Aramid.
Yeah.
And that'll help you too. Yeah, but dude, you're at the mercy of the highway and everything running over you if you hit the highway.
And that was something we didn't even care what we looked like being on a Harley and wearing all that gear that we got all different colored. I said, I don't care what it looks like. I only care about getting up and walking off and not look like a crayon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And not a human crayon.
That's right.
Serenity Kitty says, ask a possum about going under the truck. Yeah. So yeah, Chase and Ghost used to ride dirt bikes. She says, roll is an instinct learned from dirt track. Roll out of the way. They're still coming. I've seen people hurt bad, still roll out of the way. Yeah, and you have to get over that fear of, let me just lay here until somebody helps me. Nobody's gonna help you. Nobody's gonna help you. You got to save yourself. Rescue yourself. Bleak Rides, you got to jump in. Still waiting. All right, Just a Biker Girl, come up with another term for me.
Whoa, dreadfully unprepared.
You're late. It's all your fault. Live with it. Suck it up.
Don't feel bad. I didn't have any for him.
You didn't? Okay. All right. Me and Doug against Rainey, huh?
I'm outnumbered here. I am.
It is.
So Robertson whiskey. Absolutely awesome. Robertson whiskey and Coke. Absolutely freaking delicious. Do you guys come visit? We're getting a bottle.
Try it. All right.
So I went to the Father's Day thing in Harley Davidson, and they had a cigar tasting and a whiskey tasting. I'm not into cigars. I am into whiskey. I know you guys don't know that. But they had, what was it, 1749 or whatever. They had the Robertsons. They had something that was, I swear to God, it tasted like Malort. And I didn't want to insult the guy, but I went ahead and took a sip of it. And he was like, what do you think about that one? And I'm like, tastes like gasoline. He's like, that's a pretty popular one, man. That's like $60, for a bottle. And I'm like, and I said, yeah, whiskey starts at like, it sucks. And as the price goes up, it tastes better. And then is the quality goes up specifically, the taste goes back down, tastes like shit again. And then you've got the $200 a bottle stuff that's really, really good, that tastes like angel's piss. So this is not anywhere in between that. This is straight piss. It tastes like gas. It tastes like gas. If you ever drank if you ever drank Malort.
No.
Malort is the nastiest whiskey you will ever taste. People make fun of it. People make memes about Malort. And it's when you drink it, because I did, just to prove that, you can't talk bad about something until you've actually had it. So even though you know it's bad, you can't talk bad about it until you actually taste it. It's like, when somebody takes a jar off something, go, oh my God, that smells like shit. Smell it. Well, you can't not smell it, because you've got to go, okay, I've got to put my finely attuned judge snout to this to make sure that it actually does smell like shit. Yep, smells like shit. Cool. Okay, now I know. Now I can talk about it. Malort's that way. If you've got to taste it just once, where you can talk about how bad it actually is. And this stuff, once you drink it, it burns your tongue. It feels like somebody's putting needles in your tongue. And then once you swallow it, it doesn't go away. Then there's this burning in the back of your throat, like you're swallowing like chunks of asphalt or chunks of granite. And then it comes back up your nose. And then it burns your nose. And it feels like your nose hairs are trying to crawl out of your nose. It's that bad. So
That's nasty.
Have
you ever smoked your whiskey? Have you ever done that where they smoke it and flavor it?
I went to a smoke place in Chicago, and they didn't smoke it with a cigar. They had like a piece of ash or something. And all it really does is make it taste like Scottish Highland whiskey, so like Jack Daniels, they filter it with charcoal. In the Scottish Highlands, when they filter it with peat moss, charcoaled peat moss. So a lot of that peat moss flavor of the charcoal stays in the whiskey. And I will admit it's an acquired taste, because the first time I had it, it did not taste good. I had Aberfoyle, and it was like, this kind of tastes like licking an ashtray.
Oh no.
But then you realize that it's actually not bad. It's like, okay, it tastes like an ashtray, but after a really good cigar. So, and then you kind of acquire the taste, and then it doesn't taste so bad. So I think that's what they're trying to duplicate when they smoke something, is they're trying to put that ashy flavor in it. So not a bad thing all the time. If it's actually a good smoke, it's not bad. Would I do that? No, because all of a sudden you're adding a lot of price to it just to get drunk. However, on my birthday, I do plan this year of getting some Johnny Walker Blue. For my birthday this year, I will be getting a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. I'll make it last for a very long time, at least 2 days.
When's
But
your
I'm
birthday?
gonna get some.
At least 2 days, huh?
September 2nd. Same
Okay.
as, funny enough, same as Keanu Reeves, and same as the guy who plays C-3PO. Ain't that neat?
See if I can't find you a good bottle.
Don't give me Aberfoyle. I've had it. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't buy it again.
What I keep doing is looking up on the shelf, going, I got that
What
one.
do I got?
Pretty
What do I
good,
got?
and I've got
Right.
that one.
So Aberfoyle comes in like a cardboard tube, and it's higher priced. It's about, so when I say whiskey starts here, actually I should say that the lower price liquors are really sweet. So, and I'm talking about something like Revel Stoke, the pecan flavored whiskey, is sweet, tastes good. Alcohol percentage is probably 30%. It's not very much. And then you go up to a higher, let's say Jack Black. Jack Black, I think, is like 90 proof, 45%. Tastes good, has a strong, bitey, charcoaly taste. And then you go to a higher price whiskey that tastes good. You're talking like Jack Black, Gentleman Jack. And it's really good. But then you go to like Sinatra Jack Daniels. It's like $120 a bottle. I think it's more than that now. And that tastes really bad. It's horrible. And then you go to Jack Single Barrel. That's about $120 a bottle. And it actually tastes really good. So that as the price goes
really
up.
Horrible. This one is not really horrible.
The Sinatra, I did not like it.
However, I will say that one, that number 27, that's the one. That's the kind.
I don't even want to know how much that was.
It was like $5.
No, it was not.
It was a gift.
Maybe more than that.
It was a little more than $5. We did
But
the
that number 27 is really good.
we've done the tasting 3 times now, and they tell you how much it costs. The Sinatra, the first time we went, I think they said it was like $100 a bottle. The next time it was 120. I think the last time they said it was a limited edition, and it was like 200 a bottle.
You can get them for less if you look for them, but it's for the price of what they're charging for them, I wouldn't pay that.
Well, I did like the single barrel rye, and that was about $60 a bottle, and it was very. I love a rye, the peppery, yummy. I like a rye. I like a good rye whiskey. Must be the pirate in me. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's they've got that single barrel system down to a science.
Yes,
Really
it's very good.
When it comes to others like Macallan and stuff like that, people will say, "Oh yeah, get the Macallan 18 of the 25." That's a waste of money. Just get the 12. Keep it under $100. Get the 12. It's just as good, if not better. So
We're gonna have to. You guys gotta come visit. So I've done a whiskey tasting before when I was in Ohio, and so we got to do a tasting when you guys come visit, or I gotta go visit you guys, I guess, because you're way the fuck over
That,
there.
or we're gonna have to all plan ahead of time and do a tasting.
A live
on
tasting?
Friday.
Yes.
Yes.
That means you have to show up on time.
how about we plan it when it's not
Close.
90 degrees and 90% humidity?
It is funner to do it when it's
Not.
cold.
When
Yes.
is it not? You tell me.
It's better to. Okay, we'll plan for October.
Okay.
Let's plan for October.
It's only like 60 degrees here with 40 mile per hour wind gusts, so it's been on the chillier side.
Right now,
Yeah.
it was 103 here today. Humidity is like 85%.
It really gets above 60 here. I had a little bit in the sunshine, but not much.
I'm refraining from saying the temperature in Phoenix.
But what's the humidity? But what's the humidity? You were just in Tennessee, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll take 105 degrees at 6 in the evening over 90 and 90 in Tennessee
Yeah.
any day of the week. It's just wet. Just everything's wet.
When it's 70 degrees and while you're driving, you're collecting humidity from the air because your bike is just a little bit cooler than the rest of it. It's humid. It's stupid humid.
Now here it's just like riding into a blast furnace. You just gotta wonder. About 110 degrees, you just wonder why do I want to feel what it feels like to be cremated? So I don't need that.
I wondered that in Kuwait a lot. I've got a picture of me. The hottest I was ever at in Kuwait was 145 degrees. I've got a picture of me standing with the thermometer with like these big dinner plate thermometers, and it was 135 degrees. And I remember when that picture was taken, I didn't feel bad. It was probably 10% humidity that day. And I was like, this actually doesn't feel like it's 135 degrees. But if you look at my arms in the picture, you can see it's not sweat. There's oil coming out of my skin. I'm shiny. It's the oil coming out of my skin because that's all I have that's left in there. There's no sweat left in my sweat glands. It's all just like oil from my fat. I'm like baking like a pig on a rotisserie. Bleak Ride says power band is not what people think it is. That's another term. And it doesn't so much piss me off as I just look at people and go, what? When they go, stay in your power band. And they only say it. It is a true statement, but they only say it because they've heard it. They don't understand what it means. I like to refer to my Sportster when I talk about power band because people told me when I got that Sportster, oh, you can't get it above 70 because once you get it above 70, man, it starts shaking. It'll shake like epileptic child. And this is what I've determined from that. When you're in fifth gear going 70, the bike shakes. When you're in fourth gear going 70, the bike is steady, rock steady. It's like a sewing machine. When you get into fifth gear and you're doing 80, 85, it feels like you're driving a well-tuned sport bike. And so when you talk about power band and you talk about, RPM band, you're just talking about where the bike wants to be to make power and have smooth power delivery. And you got to remember that Sportster is a sport bike. It's meant to go fast. So when you're trying to drive any Harley, really, really low RPMs and trying to stay in the highest gear possible, that bike is going to shake again, like an epileptic 50-year-old. But I would say like Michael J. Fox, that wouldn't be cool, so I won't say it. But you want to keep it, and I remember seeing this on a video. You want to keep every motorcycle at the highest RPM that it can possibly be smooth at, because that's where they're happy. Bikes, motorcycles in general, cars in general, are meant to stay at high RPMs because they like to be hot, because that's where they burn the most efficiently. That's where they burn off all the carbon inside the jets and inside the valves. They like to be hot. So hot equals high RPMs. And a Harley oil air-cooled engine is efficient when you drive it at the speed it's supposed to be driven at the RPM it's supposed to be driven at. So, yeah. That's all I got to say about
when they get hot, they lug.
They sound sexy. Power band, is that Metallica? No. Good call though. All right. Blake said it's not a magical turbo that gets the range of RPM where the engine makes the no, it doesn't. It's not a magical turbo that kicks in. It's the range of RPM where the engine makes the most power. Yes. Yes. Screaming Eagle is not an edition of Harley. It also drives me crazy, and I have a friend who loves turbos, and I have met maybe 1% of 1% of people who actually will use a turbo on anything, and most of those are truck drivers, like semi drivers. Unless you're drag racing, a semi is probably the only thing that will efficiently use a turbo. Other than that, you're just wasting your money and you're wasting your time, and you'll probably blow your engine up. Welcome to it. In high school, I had a Yamaha 650 turbo, and I love that bike, and I put that turbo to the test. I had a friend burn the turbo up because he didn't realize once you're done running the turbo, when you come off of it, you've got to let it cool off before you shut it down. You've got to cool the oil before you shut the engine down. And he froze up the bearings in the turbo.
Oh no!
So gotta get that oil to flow through the turbo cool.
You go through the turbo cooler. Otherwise, you get a runaway. Now on a motorcycle, you don't have a whole lot to run away, but I've seen diesels run away. I've seen forklift turbos run away. I cannot imagine a motorcycle turbo running away, because that would be a whole lot more power than you probably could keep the wheel on the pavement.
Those old Detroit diesels were famous for it.
We had it was a Cummins on a forklift, and a friend of mine, we got the call that it was chugging and it was smoking. We went over there and cranked it up. He gets in there and he's hitting the throttle, and all of a sudden the oil seal gives away in the turbo. Those big Taylor forklifts hold 7 gallons of engine oil. It put all 7 gallons through the turbo in about 12 seconds.
Oh my god!
It screamed so loud I thought it was going to explode. I jumped off, and these are big, high forklifts. They're the size of semis. It actually had a 7.6 liter engine in it. I jump off one side, he jumps off the other side, and we go running in opposite directions until the forklift shuts itself off. Because here's the thing about a runaway turbo is you don't have to give it gas. Once you start pumping oil straight into the engine, you don't have to give it any throttle. It's taking everything at once. And the faster it goes, the faster it spins. The faster it spins, the more oil it pumps. The more oil it pumps, the faster it goes. It's a vicious cycle until the entire oil tank is empty and there's nothing left to suck. And then it shuts itself off if it doesn't explode. So, and what's funny is when they talk about turbos exploding and engines exploding, it's usually they're talking about garbage trucks. And I don't know why garbage trucks like to do it. Probably because that's the most least trained operators that are driving them. But 3 times that I've seen garbage trucks explode, or it's seen diesels go run away and explode, it's been garbage trucks. And then garbage trucks are also full of highly combustible material, so then the entire truck blows up. It's absolutely nuts. Good time.
Everybody wants one.
Where were we at? After working on 1 turbos and 2 diesels for 7 years straight, I would never own a diesel. Never. I just can't see it.
I knew somebody who was going to, or maybe they did put it on their bike out, during Sturgis, they did the Trust Turbo, whatever. So I've always heard though that they get super hot. You shouldn't ride them in town. That it's only if you're going to be riding on the highway, and then I don't know. I'm not motivated, so I haven't learned anything about it.
Well, diesels have their use. The worst thing you can do for a diesel is start it up, run it 10 minutes, and shut it off. Diesels are meant to run consistently. That's why they use them in Germany, because they drive, on the Autobahn, and they drive for a couple hours at a time. And that's why truckers use them, because they're very efficient when you have them running for a few hours. Diesels get very inefficient when you crank them up, run to the store, run inside for an hour, come back out, take the eggs home and the milk, and and park it back up 5 minutes later. They get very dark burning when you do that to them, because it's very bad for diesels to do that. Diesels don't run well until they're hot. So they smoke a lot until they're hot. And that's why diesels get the reputation of burning carbon and being bad for the environment. Diesels are actually very good for the environment, because once they're burning, they're complete combusting when they're hot. Not when you're taking them to the store and to the mall and to Starbucks. Unlike motorcycles, which are awesome to take to Starbucks. I'm just kidding. I digress. Jason Go says $2,000 in extra labor to clean out the charge air cooler and replacing the turbo. Yes. I've had to clean out quite a few turbo coolers when I was working on the Taylor forklifts, and I do not recommend it for anybody. 0 of 10 do not recommend. Bleak says, turbo sounds like it's drooling. I know it's supposed to be so cool, but it sounds like slurbo. Like that supercharger whine, but really kind to heavy for bikes. The H2 is top heavy. Coolest turbo, if you want to call it that, is basically a supercharger that I saw on a Harley that somebody made from a water cooler pump, a water pump. And basically it was like a little 3 or 4 PSI boost air pusher. Basically is all it was, a little turbo fan. And when you're talking motorcycles, when you can increase the air pressure on the heads like 2 PSI, that's a lot. It doesn't take much. I've seen people use a hair dryer. All you've got to do is increase the air pressure just a little bit on a motorcycle. And they're also awesome fun. Makes me think. I have an idea.
Put an inverter, got that hair dryer going.
I have an idea. It could also work as a block heater. I got all kinds of ideas now. All right. I got the wheel spinning. I'm ready. Okay.
Good Lord.
All right. Doug, you got anything else for us? You got some good ideas?
I don't know, man, after the hair dryer idea.
Go says, wet yard clipping catch garbage trucks on fire, just like hay. Yeah. Yeah, and it smells a lot worse. Garbage trucks stink when they burn.
They do.
It's like a dumpster fire.
A dumpster fire. Only it's not 2024 anymore. All right. I blew Doug's mind away.
I don't know. Where were we at? Which McDonald's were we at? Someplace in Arkansas that we found that out. There's a lot of McDonald's that don't open up until like 7 a.m. on their lobbies, and they won't sell breakfast to you on a bike. That's just wrong.
Really?
They won't.
It's just wrong.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
I've gone through the McDonald's here on the BMW, and they had no problem giving me anything I wanted. I've gone through a Hardee's on the Harley when I had the tank. When I had the tank bag on it, and shoved all my
Taco Bell.
thing.
Taco Bell. I went through a Taco Bell and got a few things, and I believe there was one other drive-through, and other ones are like, no, you can't. You're on a bike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're like, how you gonna carry it? I said, her. She's gonna carry
I
it.
got saddlebags right here. Look at
Yeah,
I flipped them open.
So we ended up having to go back to the truck stop and drink coffee there and eat a truck stop breakfast sandwich. So we took the risk.
Jason Go says Randy's going to have a DeWalt battery on his bike for a leaf blower. I did not think about leaf blowers. That's actually a great. Thanks, Ghost. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
Oh Lord.
We're getting somewhere now.
Yeah.
Um, for those of y'all that don't know, so the Ninja is running awesomely now. I'm gonna probably have to get a video of it. Problem is the bars I bought for it don't fit. So I took the bars off, tried to put them on the new one, and it didn't work. So I just hung the controls off of both sides of the bike. So I had it out running a while ago with the controls hanging off both sides of the bike. Started it up, had to hold the throttle up while I revved it, but it sounds great. So tomorrow though, the bars are coming in, so I will be putting the bars on tomorrow, and Sunday the tires will hold air, so I will probably get it out Sunday and ride it around a little bit.
Nice.
And I cannot wait to get that bike together. It's been such a long journey getting that thing fixed up. It doesn't seem like that long. It's been maybe going on 4 months now. But I've done. It seems like I've torn that bike down to frame and motor, and built it back up. Fuel pump, fuel tank, sender, turn signals. What else did I put on it? I had to rebuild the seat, new battery. What else did I do that thing? Oh, I got to build a right side control foot peg mount for it. What else have I done to that thing? Oh, radiator overflow. What else? Oh, gas lid, because obviously the tank didn't come with a freaking cap on it, so I had to buy another cap for it. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. The funny thing was, the guy was sure that we would just, yeah. If you can't get it to run, if you can't get it to do anything, we'll just part it out. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get it to run. I'm going to make it run. So thinking back to it, when I called the DMV, the bike hadn't been registered since 2012. So they wrecked it sometime between 2011 and 2012. And so it sat in a storage shed for 10 years, and then sat in a shed in the mud for another 2 years. And then I got it back in March, first part of March. So the bike has had a life. And what amazes me is that once I got the tank on, put gas in it, got the electricals fixed on it, found all the plugs and plugged all the plugs in, put a battery on it. One, that it turned over, but two, the day after I put gas in it and ran some fuel treatment through it, it cranked. And it ran like a diesel, but then the next day when I went out there and I put injector cleaner in it, it ran really well. So I'm amazed that this bike is running. So if you hear me talk about it, it's just with revelry, it's because it is. I cannot believe this bike is running. So I'm sure something cataclysmic will happen the next month. It'll tell me. Like you've all heard me talk about Kawasaki's. Every Kawasaki I've ever tried to ride has tried to kill me. But I either take that as a challenge and make this one not be the one that kills me, or I'll go out like a hero. So
Right.
like a conquering
No
hero.
whining. No whining.
No whining. No whining.
That's awesome. It just needs a little TLC.
It needed some love. The dude was surprised when I got it to turn over. He was more surprised when I sent him the video of it running. So good on me. It's a very small bike on me. If you saw the video of me getting on it to try to push it onto the sand, it's a little small bike. But I'm gonna ride the shit out of it for at least a month, and then I'll probably sell it, or I might decide to keep it because it's a trophy now. So we'll see.
How
It
small?
it could be the size of a little blonde girl from California.
I was just gonna say how small.
It's-
I mean,
It's a 650R, which is everything I've read on these bikes say they're indestructible. They say they're easy to work on, very little electronics on them. If you can put fuel, gas, and air to them, they'll run. And so that's why I got the bike, because I thought there's no way that I can fail on this. This seems like a really easy bike to fix. But then I was still surprised when it ran. So why am I surprised? I don't know, but I am. Probably because it's a Kawasaki, and I swore I'd never run a Kawasaki. Maybe my subconscious is trying to tell me don't ride this bike. We'll see. We'll see.
don't listen
don't sell bikes. We don't sell bikes. We've come to that agreement. She and I have come to that agreement. We're never selling another
Right.
bike.
You could
Anything
put
we
like a
buy,
couple
we're
bicycle hooks
keeping.
up in the garage and just hang it up, right? I mean, you could just hang it
I
up.
could put it right here,
Yeah,
Could.
there
right
you
behind
go.
me. I could do it. It ain't very heavy.
Keep it.
Let's see. Somebody is messaging me. Who is messaging me?
that's that's why we have the overhang on the patio in the backyard. We can start parking bikes back there when we run out of room in the garage.
Oh, good God.
I do have to find somewhere to. So, on the table now is selling all three of the bikes to get two more bikes. To get two more bikes.
You don't have to sell them.
Funny enough, so the BMW I have a lot of history with. The Harley I've worked on a lot and I've made it mine. I've painted it and I've done a lot of cool things to it that doesn't even look like a Sportster anymore. And then I've got this Kawasaki that I've taken from a poor child, a poor puppy in the pound in the rescue shelter, if you will. That I know if I wouldn't have took it, he'd have probably thrown it in the dumpster because he was like, yeah, it'll never run, blah blah blah. So I've got these three bikes. I put a lot of love, time, energy, road miles, whatever. It's hard to get rid of them, but I do think I need a new start.
What are you thinking?
It's like fostering children, I mean, you can't just keep all of them. You've got to get rid of some of these foster children to make room for more. So
What are you thinking?
I'm gonna keep it to myself for now.
All right.
For now.
So instead of selling them, and just not to side with Doug here, but I'm siding with Doug here, you could rent them. They're paid for, right? You own them outright?
I do.
Okay, you could rent them.
I could, but then I wouldn't get a new bike. So,
I mean, it could make your payment.
but I have no room for a new bike.
All right, fine. But if you started now.
I could.
Room is a
No,
trailer
I hear
away.
you. Okay, fine.
Room is only a trailer away.
I could. I guess I could extend the garage into the studio, and then the studio could be my garage. The garage is right here on the other side of this wall. So if I
we run
knock
out
the
of room
wall
under the
out,
patio, then we've got the front living room that we'll start parking in.
I just bought a cover. I throw it on over, cinch it up, buckle the clip underneath. It lives outside.
and Chasing Ghost says the Whataburger has no problem serving you on a bike. The Whataburgers here, and I hate to say this, so I grew up in Texas. Whataburgers in Texas are legendary. Absolutely legendary. Not to be confused with Whataburgers in Mississippi or any other place, really. The Whataburgers here are not a pimple on the ass of Texas Whataburgers. So I'm very disappointed in the Whataburgers here because one, the service is bad. Two, the food is bad. Three, if you ask for a Dr. Pepper shake, they have no clue what you're asking for. The Dr. Pepper milkshake is legendary in Texas because Dr. Pepper and Whataburger go hand in hand. And to go here and ask for a Dr. Pepper milkshake and they have no clue what you're talking about is an embarrassment, an absolute embarrassment. All of you people that Whataburger that let Whataburger get out of Texas, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Go home and hide your head under a pillow because you don't deserve to see the
Print
light
a
of day.
recipe and bring it to your local franchise.
All right, Ghost says she's gonna drink some coffee and get to bed. Glad you came in. Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair that the sun is still up and you got to go to bed as an adult. That's just crap. And then you got to get up and there's no sun. Also crap.
Yeah. Agreed.
Especially on the weekend. That's stupid. Yeah.
Depending on which direction you're going, I guess it's all right when the sun does come up.
Rowdy Yeats, welcome in. For those of y'all that don't know, I was friends with a Rowdy Yeats on Facebook that all of a sudden one day was not the Rowdy Yeats we all know and love. It was somebody else. It was some old lady and her husband. And I'm like, what the hell? It actually, it was a different person. It wasn't my Rowdy Yates. So how that happened, I have no clue. I think I ended up liking 2 Rowdy Yeatses, and one of them wasn't my guy. So glad to see him again. Just throw that in there just for posterity's sake. I know you guys haven't met him yet, but welcome, Rowdy. Nice to have you in.
Hey, Rowdy.
All right.
Is this the real Rowdy?
Rowdy runs, I hope this is this the right Rowdy Eats? So Rowdy runs Hope for Pits down in, I think he's in Lakeland now. I think that's where he's at now. But he runs a pit rescue place. Well, his wife runs a pit rescue place.
Nice.
He does all kinds of stuff. But, so yes, this is my Rowdy. This is my Rowdy. I made sure. Anyway, where were we? This isn't good shit.
Not selling bikes.
We're not selling bikes.
Not selling bikes, drinking whiskey, smoking whiskey, not smoking whiskey, drinking rye.
All right, so here's, I know you like vodka, just a biker girl. What whiskey would you say is your favorite?
I don't know if I am well versed enough in the whiskey world, but I have had Jameson, and it was mighty nice.
Oh, girl.
Oh no.
My
Really?
sweet summer child. Oh,
Okay, so definitely tasting in October.
yes. Yes.
So I have been okay. So you know that I was in Orange County for a few years, and I went to a very bougie party right before we ended up selling the business and leaving. And they had not only whiskey tasting, but they had manned stations where they would smoke it. They put it in a little glass box, ask you what flavor chips you wanted to smoke it with, and you could smoke your whiskey. So I tasted a few, and you're right, they tasted like smoky whiskey, using wood chips to sort of flavor it. It was a neat process and everything, but I just don't know my whiskey enough.
So when I was in Chicago, they did a pretty good. So what they would do is actually smoke it with cigars.
Oh, wow.
They would give you a brandy smoked cigar, which, now I'll tell you this, I was single back then, this is my excuse. To get into this cigar bar was $100. They would give you a bourbon smoked cigar, which was pretty good bourbon, even by my standards now, after knowing what I know. And I was into, like, I was the connoisseur cigar smoker, the one that's like, look at me, I'm holding a cigar. I was that guy. But I was single back then, so it's okay. But that was actually not bad. So compared to when they did the wood chip smoke, they did an ash smoke or a white oak smoke. Knowing now what I know then, I think that was a very cheap imitation of what you can actually get with a good smoked or a charred whiskey. And there's a difference in a charred whiskey and a smoked whiskey. So I guess that's all I said about that.
All right.
Doug, you got something on your mind. Tell me what you know.
I think I've got a bottle of finest quality bullet brand.
There's no such thing as a fine quality bullet.
Yeah.
So you got orange label bullet, red label bullet, and green label bullet. Which one do you have?
Oh my God, I don't know. I can go look. It's in my little mini fridge right next to, the baby making machine over here, just in case. But
The baby making machine?
yeah. Ha.
Do we want to? Don't show me that picture. Don't show me.
As I look to the right,
being
go,
I love
orange.
being the old person who pops that one. All right.
The orange is okay. The orange, actually, somebody brought me that and wrote on top of it. I still have the bottle. COVID cure. He wrote on the bottle and brought it to me. So, I think I still have it in there somewhere. Rowdy, that's too bad, man.
I don't know how many I've got up there. I've got a few.
My whole kitchen cabinet, I'll have to do a little video. All of my kitchen cabinets are full, and I have to now. If I get a really good bottle I want to keep, I've got to take something down. It's like, which one do I want to take
We
down?
put everything on the top. We just stack it on the top somewhere.
Oh,
There is no bullet. We threw it all away.
No, you were talking about cigars. What is it? The one brand. I've traded them off to different people. TABAK, Tobacco by Drew Estate. That's one of the better cigars I've ever had. Tastes like a cafe mocha. So I'm not a fan of the Cuban cigars. I think they all taste like garbage.
Well, when I was in Kuwait, I was on the amnesty team, and we collected amnesty, forbidden items. And one of the ones we would collect were the Romeo and Julietas from Cuba, because you could buy them in Iraq. You couldn't take them home because they were a prohibited item. So these guys would come through with handfuls of these Romeo and Julietas that they had bought. Now in Iraq, these things were like $10 a piece, which to me is still a pretty expensive cigar back then.
Don't let him fool you. He brought some home.
Well, then let me tell you what happened. So they would drop these things off. So I'm on the amnesty team. So anything we destroyed, we had to fill out paperwork for. We had to fill out destruction paperwork for. And so for the cigars, I would write down method of destruction, incineration. And every night we'd go back to the pods at night, and we have a box full of these things. And so the guys would get out there with us, and we just have to make sure they smoked them. Because you're looking at, to me, that was an expensive cigar at $10 a cigar. That's expensive. So we'd sit out there with the guys, and they'd have to sit there with us and at least light them and smoke them down before they could leave the little smoking booth. So then I go to Mexico with my wife's boss. And I would tell him, he goes, "You ever had a Cuban cigar?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." They had Romeo and Julietas, they had Cristals, and they had one called, I can't remember. It was a Puerto Rican one, but it was really good too. He says, "Oh, they have the Romeo and Julietas up at the bar. We'll go grab one." We went up to grab one at $65 a cigar. And I'm like, "What the hell? I don't want one of these. I don't want one of these." He's like, "No, that's what they cost." And I'm like, "No, it must be because it's a tourist place." He goes, "No, this is how much they cost." I'm like, "I don't want one. Now, I don't want one now." I didn't mind when it was $10 a piece, but no, I don't want one.
Oh no, I had believe it or not, I had Ron White trade me
Later on, Christian Biker.
at a casino, and he traded me three Cuban cigars for three of mine. And I was like, he was like, "Oh, I'll trade you some cigars." And I was like, "All right, He hands me these three, and I said, "No, these are Cuban." He goes, "Well, yeah," and I said, "Yeah, they're thanks, I guess." I don't like them, but all right, that's good. And then he ended up buying one of my stories from me. So he bought my Reno cop story. I don't know if he ever told her or not. I've never actually seen him.
He did not buy me one because they didn't let him buy me one. Diana's asking me if her boss bought me the cigar. No, I did not let him buy it. I'm like, no, I can't do this.
I'm taking notes. My son-in-law loves cigars.
So the best cigars now are if you go to either Tampa or Miami, because all of the Cubans and the Dominicans down there. So what they do is they take these seeds from Cuba. You can't take them from Cuba. So what they do is they'll take the seeds, send them to the Dominican Republic, and then grow the same seeds in the DR. And then you can import them to the States. So if you can get the Dominican cigars, they're actually better than the Cuban cigars. And the Cuban cigars to me were pretty good. But the Dominican ones are actually better. Mm-hmm. So that's what you want to look for, one that's a Dominican tobacco.
So,
and most of the Cubans left Cuba, went to the Dominican Republic or to Miami.
I'm sold on everything that Drew Estate came out with. Especially their acid cigars are really good. And then, like I said, their tobaccos, TAPAKs, those are really good.
I mean, are they as good as the Swisher Sweet, though?
You're going to pay for them, though.
What? The grape? It's better than a grape Swiss or Sweet? What? Come on.
Well, now grape is if you've got sour diesel, but that's a different kind of tobacco.
The strawberry's okay. It's better than a banana? What? Better than a banana backwoods? No way. Come on.
Oh, you guys.
I know nothing of this.
I sure don't. I'm afraid. I'm still afraid. I keep working for these places that drug test. So, no, I can't. Even places I've worked that they didn't test people on the floor, they always test the maintenance guys. Because we're the ones that always have to go through the lung capacity test, the forklift operators test, crane operators test. You always get tested. If there's 99 people in the building and there's 2 people there that operate cranes and forklifts, that's the guys they want to test.
it requires some kind of an OSHA test to do it,
Yeah.
you're going to get tested.
Yeah. Is what it is.
Exactly. My
I know nothing
employees would
about
always try and argue with me. You can't drug test us. It's legal in California. It's like, well, if you're a driver and you're using the forklift, actually, yes, I can.
Well, when I was in Arkansas, when they started drug testing, I remember I worked in a plastics plant, and they started testing. They doing random tests on the floor, and this girl was an operator, and she says, "You can't drug test me. It violates my constitutional rights." And he's like, "You're right. I don't have to drug test you. You can quit right now." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Well, you can't fire me." He goes, "No, you either take this drug test or you quit. I can't make you take the test, but if you don't take the test, you can't work here anymore." And I saw the look in her eyes. She was doing that mental math. How many days has it been? Which is better than I know I won't pass, which I've also seen. But she decided not to take the drug test. So here's the deal: if you quit, if you refuse to take the drug test, you're blackballed for a year. If you take the test and pass, you're blackballed for life. Same thing in the refineries down in Louisiana on the drug test. And I remember I was working on a scaffold crew. There were 16 people on my scaffold crew. Right before Christmas, they started talking about they were going to get a Christmas bonus. And I'm like, and I was joking because I just came out of the military. And I was like, yeah, probably because they're going to do a drug test. I'm like, oh, they've never been doing drug tests here. And I'm like, yeah, but they've never given Christmas bonuses either. And they literally got everybody inside, closed the gates, and said, anybody that leaves without a pink slip, holding your pink slip that says you've taken your drug test, you're terminated. Hand in your badge. And out of the 16 people on my crew, 14 people walked out. And I'm like, dude, you're crazy. You're crazy. And they're like, no, I was like, dude, don't you need this job? He's, yeah, but I can go work somewhere else for $15 an hour for a year and then just come back here. So we were making good money in the refinery. But they're like, if they drug test me, I'm banned for life. If I quit, they have to take me back after a year. It's a weird life. Some of that mental math, dude, is dark. The things they'll do. And another place I was working at, a guy drove a forklift into a sprinkler, knocked the head off of it, flooded the entire area. We got the water shut off. And the plant manager calls me to review the footage. So we're reviewing the footage. This dude drives into the sprinkler, knocks it off. He backs it up, gets off, walks over to another guy. They talk for about a minute. He walks out, swipes out his badge and walks out the gate, gives his ID to the gate guard, and gets in his car and drives away. They go get this guy he talked to, and I'll never forget the date that it happened, but it was April the 24th. Because they asked this guy, what did he talk to you about? He said, he walked up to me and said, how long has it been since 420? And the guy said, not long enough, you need to leave. He walked out, got in his car, and left. Never came back because he knew he was going to get terminated. Because this is another place that wouldn't drug test you on employment. If you had an accident, you got drug tested.
Yep.
Is what it is. Some of us have a hard life to live. You know how they say that some drugs make you paranoid? The thought of drugs makes me paranoid. I have probably not been drug tested other than a entry physical in 7 or 8 years. But I have this fear if I ever did drugs, I'd be drug tested the next day. The military used to do that. If you took leave, the day you got back from leave, drug test.
Wow.
I still have that fear.
I've always worked jobs that required drug tests. And again, the accidents, right? And it's a matter of when, not a matter of if.
Yeah.
You're going to have some type of small accident, and I think it was like $250 in damage or whatever greater you had to do the drug test. And I was like, I can risk it. It's just going to risk it. You got a family at home and kids to feed.
I'm willing. If they want me to test all the drugs, I will. I mean,
Dude, I
have a whole assortment I want to try.
Dude, I failed a drug test so bad one time I was pissing rainbows. I had been electrocuted at work, and as soon as I got to, first I got to the emergency room, and I put electrocution on the intake paperwork. They waited an hour. Then the lady comes up to me, a little smart ass bitch, goes, Well, it says here you were electrocuted. That means you would have died. And I said, I did die. They gave me CPR. Her fucking face was like, what? And then they come running out like the Keystone Cops. They all run out there, throw me on the gurney, and wheel me into the back, throw me on the freaking EKG. That's when they find out my heart's out of rhythm. They go to take blood, and my blood looks like chocolate pudding. They give me a cc of. They ask me if I'm in pain. My pain from 1 to 10, and I'm like 8, because my entire body's convulsing still an hour later. And so then they give me a cc of morphine. Then they gave me Toradol, and then they gave me Demerol. An hour later, they gave me another cc of morphine, another Toradol, and then they gave me something else. I was floating. They finally send me home at like a little after midnight. The next morning, the HR lady calls me and says, you need to go take a drug test or you're going to be terminated. And I said, good luck, bitch. I'm not going. I can't drive. I can't drive for a week. And plus, I'm so damn high right now. I can't drive. I'm waiting to think about the drug test. And she's like, well, if you don't take the drug test, you're going to be terminated. And I said, and then I'll sue you. Good luck. I went in for a workplace. Oh, by the way, they wouldn't even call 911 on me. I said, you do this, I'll sue the shit out of you. Which I should have done anyway. So the HR lady that did bring me to the hospital, not the one that was a total ass bunch, calls me and says, if I bring you to the doctor, will you go take the drug test? And I said, yeah, sure. She comes and gets me, takes me to workers' comp. When they bring me in, the workers' comp doctor goes, why are you doing this? And I said, because they said I had to or they terminated me. He goes, you're going to fail this test. And I said, oh, I know. He goes, and there's nothing they can do about it. And I said, I know. He says, why are you doing this? And I said, because she asked me to, the little girl. This Bosnian chick actually told the plant manager and the head HR lady that she was taking me to the emergency room whether they fired her or not. And then goes and stuffs me in her little Ford Ranger and drives me to the emergency room. Oh, that girl, I would have done anything she asked me to do. So when she called me and said, if you bring me, will you go? And if I bring you, will you go? I said, yes. And the only reason I went was because she brought me.
Oh, wow.
But, I failed. I failed big time. Nothing they could do.
They can list out everything you've taken, and then they just discount those right off the list.
Well, so I'm like, but they had put me on so many things. It's like so when I'm sitting there in the emergency room, they put me in a room. All the alarms go off. They all come running in there, looking at me, looking at the machine, looking back at me, and I'm like, because my heart won't, my pulse is so low, I have no oxygen in my blood. My oxygen was like 60%. I should have been legally dead. The doctor said you should be dead. But because at that time I was running half marathons, I was in very good shape. They put me on oxygen. They gave me IVs. This blood, when they took it out, the vials looked like brown terracotta paint. It's ridiculous looking. All the iron in my blood oxidized immediately when I got shocked. Have you ever told you this story? When I got hit, so they have these big aluminum biscuits. They call them biscuits. You plug these big aluminum things in. There's a big ring that you screw on to hold these plugs in. It was a 60 amp plug. My boss had wired it wrong. When I plugged it in, it exploded in my hands. What I remembered was when it exploded, I stepped over all these pipes and all these hoses and laid down on the concrete. What actually happened when I came to, and this guy standing over me with hands the size of catcher's mitts, he said, what do you remember? And I said, I remembered walking out of here and laying down. He goes, well, okay, well, that's not what happened. And he says, you got blown back about 5 feet. I ran in, I grabbed you, and I carried you out, and your heart wasn't beating, so we started CPR. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened. He says, no, that's what happened. I said, no, I remember walking out. He says, no, you didn't walk out. Fast forward a week when I come back to work, they're showing me the security video, the cameras. It blew me across into a big column, into a pylon. He walks in, grabs me, and carries me out like a baby. I do not remember that at all. And just knowing that when they hit me until the time it hit me until he got my and watching him give me CPR made me cry.
I bet.
I couldn't believe it. He worked on me for probably 3 or 4 minutes. But knowing I was dead that entire time and now I'm watching this video freaked me the fuck out.
God,
Big time.
that's just
Just
creepy.
freaked me out. I've been told 3, maybe 4 times in my life that you should be dead. One was when I T-boned that truck. One was when I got electrocuted. And the other one was overseas. And I can't believe I'm here. I'm still here walking, talking, still wrecking motorcycles apparently, but still fixing motorcycles. So it's a win-win, I guess.
You have any joint issues from that?
From which one?
From the electrocution, you get shocked.
Joint? No, I get a lot of cramps. So the only thing I think the only thing lingering when it hit me, so I was sopping wet because it's Missouri in the middle of summer, and I'm in a plastics plant, so my shirt was dripping wet. So when it hit me across the back of this arm, up the back of this arm, across my back, I had quarter-size welts, blisters all the way across my back, where it traced across my back. And the doctor said if I wouldn't have been so wet and sweaty, it would have killed me. Because it went through my body, but most of it went through all of this sweat and moisture in my shirt. It burned my shirt all over it was polka dotted, where it burned my shirt. But across my back, when I came to, probably 5 seconds after I came to, I started convulsing. My cramps in my back were so bad I was like bent over backwards. I was like that Poltergeist movie where they bend the people backwards. That's what it felt like.
Hey, Diana, make sure to keep a record of that electrocution, because when his joints start to go later in that arm, you can go after him.
Shit. I should have sued.
I'm not telling you that. I'm telling her because I know you won't do it.
I'll be dead. Yeah. I don't know, man. I should have sued. I've had people tell me I should have sued because they wouldn't call 911.
You did a claim, though.
Huh? I did a workers' comp.
Workers' comp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Workers' comp will cover you. So later on, when you do have that joint pain, which you will,
I have all the joint pain. My hands are always jointed. Yeah. But then
it's aggravated in that arm. It's from that.
Well, but between carrying rucksacks and doing the 2 years in Kuwait, walking on asphalt, and then 5 years on a ship, and then being garrison walking fence lines, what do you blame it on? I mean,
a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So I've got I think we're up to 60% now on disability, and we still can't get the open air burn pit to claim anything, because every time I'll get the worker, well, I'll get the burn pit going, get a package started, and whatever entity is running the burn pit will dissolve. Now you got to go to another entity. Now they've kicked it to my doctor, and they say, "Oh, my personal doctor has to fill out all the paperwork." I'm like, "I'm done with you, motherfuckers. I'm about to retire." The bad thing is, in 2 years I can retire, and anything that I would have got for disability now just goes to retirement. Yeah. So let's say if you're getting, $1,200 a month in disability, when you get your retirement, they take that $1,200 out of your disability. So it's like, you're not winning anything anyway. It's just kind of a losing battle all the way around. They ride you. I mean, I think the VA and military retirement is a scam. You're scammed big time. Because the disability thing, unless you're on it from like 24, you never get anything out of it. You just lose. It's a lose.
Yep, you can fracture a vertebrae and you'll end up with 20%.
You can, but I have friends, and this is no shit. I got a friend with sleep apnea, 100% disability.
100%, yeah.
100% disability.
100% for snoring.
For eating too many fucking tacos and getting fat and snoring. 100% disability.
So my husband's got sleep apnea, and he's got the it's not epilepsy, but he's having seizures. So it's the neurological. He's got such bad allergies. He's from the burn pits. And all of that stuff. I think he's at like 70 or 75%, all of that combined. And seizures almost every single night. I don't know how he gets up and goes to work every day. But yeah, that That last little bit to 100, nah, that's out of reach.
You ever heard that song "Live Like You Were Dying"?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my military disability. Skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a bullet named Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
I have fell off a mountain, rolled a Humvee, fell off a reduction gear, had shrapnel across my arm, and then compound that with everything else. I mean,
Now, did you break the Humvee?
no, it was a. So this is why I like the 997T so much. The 998T, the truck, it literally rolled over. I had diesel chemical burns because it was like 140 degrees and I'm laying in a pool of diesel. So I'm getting chemical burns all over my body. And then they finally right me and I can't walk. So they knock me out. I wake up 3 days later. And first thing I'm thinking is my wife is going to be so mad because I haven't called her in 3 days. Because we'd go out on patrol. We'd go out. So we were doing the ECP between it and Navistar. And I would call her as soon as I got back from patrol. So, and I didn't call her. And I'll never forget this. We did Yahoo Chat every night if I wasn't out on the road. And I hadn't called her in 3 days. And the first time I called her, the first thing she asked was, "What happened? What happened?" And I'm like, "Hi, here I am." And I'm like, "What do I say?"
All right,
I mean,
I'm fine, but here's what happened.
well, when I came to the first time, they're like, "Yeah, we're not sure what happened to your back," because they said I can't feel my feet, I can't move my legs, and they're like, "Okay, we're just gonna keep you in a coma for a couple of days, and we're just gonna see when the swelling goes down, maybe you'll walk, maybe you won't. We'll deal with it then." And for 3 straight days, I would wake up, eat. They moved me back to my cube, my pod. My roommate would wake me up. He'd feed me, take me to the shower, take me back, put me back in bed, give me drugs. I'd go back to sleep for about 12 hours. I'd wake up, and this is no shit. I'd wake up. He's there. As soon as he saw me awake, he'd go get me food from the DFAC, come back, feed me, take me to the shower. I'd take a massive shit because I hadn't fucking shit in probably 2 or 3 days. Bring me back, put me back to bed. I'd wake up again 12 hours later. He's there with more drugs and more food. And that was for 3 days.
You know what the problem was? The Hummer didn't have a turbo on it.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Too easy.
I know, right? If I would have had turbo.
So
I'd have had
crazy that
Uh-oh.
she's in a good place. She's cunty and she doesn't even like herself. Maybe next week.
I didn't hear any of that. Do it again.
Did I?
Do it again.
Did I word slur? Okay.
You froze.
Crazy?
You froze.
Oh no.
You're back. You're back. Go.
I'm back. Okay. So I finally got a hold of Crazy. She said she absolutely can't this week, maybe next week. She is cunty and not in a good place, and she doesn't even like herself.
Then she
Joyce, I
definitely
love
needs to
you,
come
girl.
on.
Yeah,
She
I
definitely
know,
needs to come on.
I love you.
By the way, the Humvee that I only rolled on the side, and I broke it. It broke right behind the driver's seat.
This thing,
Had a aluminum body.
I'm going to put a picture of it up on Patreon. You both have links to my Patreon?
Yeah.
I'll put a picture of it up on my Patreon, the one that I wrote in. It was a soft side. How I survived rolling a soft side, I will never know. But I'll put it up.
Well, the worst part about me rolling the Humvee was covering it up and going stealing one from the Marine Corps to repaint.
We rolled it back over. That's what I don't get. I didn't feel anything for a while. It was like, I just flipped it back up. And then it was like, it hurts to bend over. And that's the last thing I remember.
Yeah.
It's like these people that you see get up from these motorcycle accidents and they walk for a bit and then they fall down. Like, oh, what's wrong with him? He's got 2 broken legs. Oh, okay.
Yeah. 20 to 40 seconds. You got 20 to 40 seconds, and then you're down.
We flipped it back up. And that's the last thing I remember. I was like,
Wow.
it hurts to bend over. And that was it. I don't know. Maybe that's how I fucked my back up. It wasn't the rollover. It was trying to flip the Humvee back over.
Yeah, it was lifting the Humvee.
No, I have
Yeah.
chips. I have chips on my back, which is funny because when I fell on the ice last year, they found more chips in my spine. So yeah, the little danglies that hang off the side, the little dingleberry balls that hang off the side of your spine. They found another one that I had
I
broken
didn't know where he
before.
was going for a
That,
second there,
that
but
doesn't
yeah,
sound normal.
okay. That's not normal.
There's a
That's
fancy
not where
word
they're-
for it.
That's not where they're supposed to be.
Oh, okay. Well, let me call it a lollipop then. The little lollipops that hang off your spine, the little balls on the end. Yeah, they found another one that was broken before that had healed. So that was more. The military doesn't tell you if you can still move, there must be nothing wrong with you. Keep moving.
Walk
Keep
it
going.
off.
And I get it. They need, fighters in the field, mission first, all that. But holy shit, they will leave you to die out in the field.
They wait till you get back, and when
Yeah.
you get back and they see it on an X-ray, they go, "Oh, well, you can't do this anymore."
Or they go, well, it must not be that bad because it's been 3 months since that happened. It must not be that bad.
Yeah, with mine it was a little bit different. They just said, "Oh, you can't keep doing what you're doing." I was like, "Oh, what are my options?"
I had a friend up in Chicago they kept him in the military for 2 years after his accident. He was blinded by a flashbang. They made him an electrician, even though after the accident he was colorblind and couldn't see for shit. But all they had to do was give him a position for 2 more years where they wouldn't have to medically discharge him.
Yeah.
So they kept him in for 2 more years. At the end of the 2 years, they denied him reenlistment because, oh, you're colorblind. So he got out. He fought it. He got disability. And the dude would show up at the gym every day and work out. The dude was a freaking monster. And he was trying to restore his eyesight where he could go back in because he was on teams.
Oh my god.
He wanted to go back in. So he kept doing all these eye exercises and stuff and seeing specialists and shit. And I don't know if he eventually got back in because by that time, I had gotten out myself and started doing a civilian job. And but yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get back in. That's all I know. I hate my life. I hate my job. I want to get back in. After they had fucked him over like that. But that's some military people. That's all your life. That's the only thing you know. That's the only thing you want to do. So and I hope he did get back in. Not for the Navy's sake, but for his sake. Anyway, well, we're at the bottom of the ninth. So
We are.
just a biker girl.
Yes.
Final thoughts.
Tito's should come in a gallon size.
Doesn't it?
Oh, damn
I
no.
think it does.
Yeah, it
It's not
does.
even the Tito's. This
Yeah.
is like Kirkland's Finest from Costco.
Well, there's your problem.
Final thoughts. Ride hard, ride fast, and make those memories.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, shit. No, you don't take the ride. You don't make the memories.
Dry heat Doug. What's your final thoughts?
Oh no, I already did the ride hard, ride fast thing on the way back.
Didn't you?
Fasten your hard bags on with bolts because those little clips don't work good on a Harley. I don't know. Get out and ride. That's it. Unless it's 110. But yeah, get out and ride. One of the things I told her when we got back, I said, "Oh, now we gotta take a ride up to Prescott. We gotta do a 6-hour ride." She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah. You gotta see all the things that are wrong with the bike." She looked at me like, "What is wrong with you?" You know, your tooth. I said, "No, we're gonna go." And she said, "Okay." I was like, "Wow, no, I'm not going. I'm going to the freaking dentist. I'm going to the dentist. Okay, this thing hurts."
So nasty.
Yeah, get out and ride. Make sure your stuff's fastened on well. Otherwise, it's coming off during the ride.
Blake, thanks for coming out. It's always important that you show up. So what I thought you were going to say, back in expeditionary days, we used to say strike hard, strike fast, and get the fuck out.
Yeah, we've done that too.
So, but for final thoughts, I'll say, as I do always, if you can be anything, be nice. Unless they say something stupid, and then throw it in their face. And with that,
She took a picture of me doing something nice. I was some lady in wherever the heck that was, Tennessee, I think.
What?
She had a
No,
flat
we need
tire.
to see this picture.
Oh my God, she had a flat tire on her van and didn't speak a word of
Fucking
English, and
Terry,
she's trying
we
to
need to
explain
see
what's
the
going
picture.
on. And I'm like, oh my God, this poor lady, you know. And I said, I can't. There's like five guys that walk by. I said, they're not men. I'm gonna go fix this tire. And so I grabbed everything off the bike, went over and fixed the tire for her, and she's looking at me like, oh my God, she's like, I don't know what to say. She had nothing. I was like, she just kind of folded her hands and did the thing. And I said, hey, no problem. You're good to go. Drive it around a little bit. So that's the being nice part, do something for somebody else. It'll come back.
Yep. Do something for someone else and expect nothing in return.
That's it.
It reminds me of what was the lady? The lady, she was an anthropologist, famous anthropologist in the 60s. And she had a class that said, what do you think was the beginning of the dawn of civilization, where the civilization really turned a corner? And her students were like, well, it was the invention of fire. And the other one said, well, it was the invention of the wheel. And she said, no. She says there was discovered a tribe, and there was a skeleton that was found that was about 50 years old. And the skeleton femur had shown signs of being broken, severely broken, but it had healed. So it was probably 20 years before the person actually died that the healing was done. And so that was actually the first sign of civilization. Because even in the animal kingdom, when you're moving in tribes, when you're migrating, if you get where you can't go on, they leave you behind. Or they stay with you till you die. But the signs of this femur broken, someone had stayed with this person, cared for this person, healed this person, bandaged this person, and the person survived long enough to actually recover and move on with their life for 20 years. So that was the first actual, sign of real civilization dawning. And to this day, that's what they think of as the beginning of civilization. When you actually start helping people and thinking of something more than just yourself surviving, you start thinking of others surviving. So help that person with a flat tire or a broken femur or whatever it is. Be more human.
I don't know if she had a turbo or not, though.
If she didn't have a turbo, I'd have left her behind. I mean, if we can get your turbo going, we'll bring you. Otherwise, you got to stay back here with the hyenas. So,
oh, sorry. I just was thinking of the frustration this lady must have felt not being able to ask anybody for anything.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
It was
Good
bad.
on you.
well, I remember in Chicago, I stopped. This old man was in a Cadillac. And we stopped. He had a flat tire. So I'm like, well, I can give you a hand. He's like, no, you don't have to do that. I'll just call AAA. And I'm like, well, I can give you a hand. It's raining. We'll get you out of the rain at least. And so I get all the lug nuts off, and I can't get the rim off. So I'm beating on the rim. He's like, it's fine. The AAA's coming, whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get this tire off. Well, now it's personal. Now it's personal. And so I'm trying to get this tire. And I finally get this tire off, get his tire changed, get his tire back together, put it back on the ground. And he's tried to give me $100. And I'm like, no, this is just what I do. And he goes, no, because AAA would have charged me, man. I got to get to, and I'm like, no, that's not what I do. I do this because, I need to. This is more for me than it is for you. I need to do this to make myself feel better about myself. But it's just crazy that I'm sure somebody would have probably took his money. So I'm glad that it's me that stopped. Because, what do you do things for? Do you do things for power, prestige, and the celebrity status? Or do you do things because you think it makes you a better person?
Do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. This is how I prove that I'm not a piece of shit.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not a total piece of shit.
Yeah. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. The biker girl left. I think she had to go pee. She probably had way too much vodka. We'll wait for her to come back where she can help us say goodbye.
Be right back.
She said she'd be BRB, so.
Yeah.
Jane Goodall. It was not Jane Goodall. I'm actually going to look on my notes here because I'm sure I have it somewhere. Look at my sticky notes. Let's see here. Not it. Notes list. Not it. That's all my other well, I guess we're not going to find it today because I can't find it, but
There'll be another Friday.
there will be another Friday. I swear next time I'll have it.
Well, that wasn't the only scratches on the bike, so we've got a lot of stories to go along with it.
We can wait for her to come back real quick. I'll see if I have it somewhere here.
There she is.
We waited for you to come back.
Sorry.
Are you happy?
What did I miss?
You didn't miss anything. We just waiting for you to come back where we can tell everybody goodbye.
Yeah.
Liar, pants.
No, we did. We're waiting for you to come
No,
back.
you didn't really.
All right. So with that, because we're waiting, because we can't say goodbye without the porn music. All right, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Look down below. Look for the links to buy my t-shirts, coffee mugs, and I don't know, man. Everybody say goodbye and enjoy yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Say goodbye, everybody. So long, everybody.
All righty.
Sorry about that.
Wait, I know how to do this. Hang on.